To start off with our dragon, we're going to need a couple popsicle sticks we'll put off to the side, a pencil, I'm going to use a marker so you can see it better, some scissors, glue stick, and some colored paper. I'm using 4 sheets of small paper and 1 sheet of large paper. I'm going to begin with 2 papers that are the same. So I've got 2 different greens here that are the same shade of green, and one's going to be for the dragon's head and the other will be for the dragon's tail. And to start off, I want to go a little bit down from the top and a little bit up from the bottom of the paper and just make a little line. That's going to be kind of where the neck is. I'm going to go up for the dragon's eye, back down, and I might add a couple bumps for the top of the nose, another bump up for his nostril, then I want to curve around to add an opening for the mouth. You can make the mouth as big or as small as you would like, as open or as closed as you would like. I'm going to go back out, make a little bump for the bottom of the chin, and then curve down and around for the bottom of the jaw. And there I have a very basic dragon head. The dragon tail needs to actually meet up with the dragon head, be about the same length. So I'm going to just make little marks right about where I started my dragon head and draw out a tail. The tail is pretty simple. Just want to start off, curve around a little bit, and it doesn't even need to have the curve if you don't want it to, and then connect to the bottom to make a tail. Very simple, straightforward. And now I cut. I want to go ahead and cut out these pieces, and because my lines are so dark, I'm actually going to use the other side of this paper so that I won't have any lines. Ideally on this picture we won't want any lines showing, so if you do need to draw out any of your pieces, you may want to draw it out on the back of the paper so that the lines won't show. I'm keeping my scraps. I will be using some of this green for other parts of my dragon, so I don't want to just throw out the scraps that I'm cutting off, because even though there's some smaller pieces, they'll be great for adding little details later on. We do want to kind of layer these dragons so that they're interesting to look at. I'm cutting out the top, and even if I'm not cutting right on the lines, it's okay, because like I said, I'm going to turn this upside down as well, so you won't see any of these lines when we are working on the finished dragon. I'm saving my scraps from that paper as well, just putting them off to the side. And now I have a head and a tail. Perfect. Now I have 2 other colors. I've got a pink and a yellow. So I wanted to start with kind of this magenta pink color, and I want to do something with the mouth. So I'm going to use my pencil and just kind of trace along the inside of the mouth, and that way I know kind of how wide to keep it. And then I'm going to take my scissors and cut out the inside of the mouth from my paper. I'm working on kind of the lip area of the dragon. So there's the mouth opening that I will leave, and then now I'm going to just cut kind of close to that line to create some thicker lips for my dragon. I'm kind of adding a curve on the end instead of a point, and then curving it back around towards the top. And then you'll see now that I can fit that in pretty nicely to cover up the green, and all of a sudden my dragon has some lips. Now I want to create an eye area for my dragon, and I'd like to add kind of some spikes to that area. So I'm going with a zigzag line, and I'm not even doing it with my pencil. I'm just kind of randomly cutting some zigzags here. And I think I'm going to put that up here by the dragon's eye. And then I also want to add just some interest to the bottom part of my dragon's face. So I'm cutting out some zigzags. Sorry it's not on the screen, but I wanted to add some like right where the jaw is, so the bottom part of the jaw. Throw some zigzags there as well. I'm curving my top a little bit so it doesn't have such a strong point. And then I'm also making kind of a horn for my dragon that goes back up off of the head. So it'll just kind of stick up like that in the top. I'm just trying to think of other things I can add to my dragon to make it so that it stands out off of that green. Another thing I'm adding is a nose hole for the nostril. And then I also thought it would be nice to add some details to the upper part of the nose. So I'm just cutting a strip of purple, and then I'm just going to make these like little curved pieces that I can glue to the top part of my nose just to give more detail to that area. Now it's time to glue. So you can see I've attached all of those pieces, and if you need to pause to catch up, please do that. I wanted to glue them all down before I added some more. Now a fun trick to adding these details on the bottom part of the jaw is I'm going to go back in with my green and add some zigzags right on top of my red, and it makes it look like it's just coming right out of the dragon's face. So that's kind of cool by overlapping those pieces. I'm also going to add green to create the eye because the purple spot is so large now that we need to create an eye for the dragon. So I'll put a little green dot there with my glue. I'm going to use some purple again to create the eyeball to go inside of the green. So you can see I'm just layering each little section so that it makes it more interesting and gives you more to look at. Now all of that's glued down. I like how it looks, but I think adding a third color would make it even more interesting. So now I'm going to play around with adding some yellow to my dragon. One thing that a dragon needs is a whisker, so I'm cutting out a really long whisker that kind of comes down. There's a lot of dragons that are like bearded dragons, and so they have these hairs or whiskers that are coming down off of their face. So I think I'm going to put mine right here that's kind of hanging off over the mouth. And I'm going to make a little circle. That would be the little part of the face where the whisker comes out. So I'm going to put that right under where the yellow will come out like that. So it looks like they come out of each other. I also want to add some other yellow details to the face. As I cut, I'm trying to use the ends of the paper first. So I'm not just cutting something right out of the center of the paper, but I'm trying to kind of work on the edges so that I'm not wasting a bunch of paper. So my dragon needs feet. I decided to go ahead and cut out both feet. We'll be attaching those later, and you can see I made points on the ends to make it look like little claws. I decided to make my feet yellow. I'm doing 2 of those. One will be added onto the head, one will be added onto the tail. I also want to add some details to the eye and the horn, and I'm just going to do simple triangles, so it can just be basic shapes. It doesn't have to be anything overly fancy. But you'll notice just by adding this 3rd color, it really brings my dragon to another level. So if I put a couple little triangles in there, it really adds for a nice touch to my dragon as well. I also wanted to add a couple stripes on my horn, so I decided to do that with yellow, just by adding little yellow rectangles. And I needed one more triangle for near the eye as well. My dragon's missing something very important, of course, and that is some teeth. So I cut out teeth usually by just making a straight line and then adding some zigzags. Although my first teeth are going to be a lot larger, so I want to make sure to make those first. Some nice large teeth coming up, and I will actually glue these teeth to the back of the mouth like that, so they'll be underneath this purple area. And then the rest of my teeth can be smaller, so I'll just do the little zigzag type line and cut out some triangles for the other teeth. You can make as many or as few as you would like. It would even probably look good with just the first 2 teeth that I already have up there. Here you can see I've cut all of those out, and I will go ahead and glue them onto the back of my dragon. I also have the other yellow pieces I need to glue as well. There, all of it's glued. You can see I added the teeth to the back. The horn is also attached to the back. Everything is glued in place. I'm just adding one more little reflection to the eye. Now I did speed this up so that I will be able to move a little bit quicker through the video, but if you need to pause at times to catch up, please do so. I'm adding the foot right under the bottom part of the dragon's face, and now I am going to work on the tail. So the tail also needs a foot, so I'll go ahead and glue that on. And now it's time to add some details. I think the back part of the tail could use some spikes, and since I already have these spikes that are just sitting here waiting to be used from the parts on the front of my dragon, I went ahead and just cut those off, and I will glue those all along the back here to add some fun spikes to the tail, give the tail some interest. Got a couple more here that I could use, so I will do that to finish off the tail with some fun spikes. We'll glue those on the back so that they are coming off of the back there. And then I decided that my dragon could use some scales. And so for the scales, I'm just kind of measuring out some curved lines like so. And I want to go ahead and maybe throw in some green and some purple so it looks like they're overlapping each other. And since I already have this curved line on my purple, I decided just to make a bunch more curved lines with purple, and then I don't even have to do the green step. So I'm throwing these scales on there, lining them up. I decided instead of using this green piece on the front here to just cut this purple one to make it look like there's a green piece in front of it like that. Now I've got all of those there, and I can glue them down to make it look like the dragon has some scales. You can see that they're not all perfectly the same. They're not even all going right up towards the edge, but just giving that detail really helps the tail look more interesting and come to life. I also decided that I wanted to add a little bit of yellow just to kind of help tie it into the front. So I'm throwing a couple of curved lines on the purple to just help give it a little bit more interest. And we'll glue those down to my dragon as well. There are lots of different ways you could add scales. You could even just do it by making large circles and then overlapping the circles. That would be another easy way to do it, but I'm pretty happy with the tail. Now this large piece of blue, it's a 9 by 12, no, 9 by 16. I don't know, it's the larger size. I'm cutting it in half a long way. So I've got this long, skinny piece of blue, and now I am folding it like you would a fan. So I'm flipping it over, folding a little bit, flipping it over, folding a little bit up, flipping it over, folding it a little bit up, just like you would like an accordion fan. I want that nice, interesting edge to be the center part of my dragon. I'm going ahead and folding all the way until I have the entire piece done, and now it looks like an accordion. And I'm going to glue the tail onto one side and the head, of course, onto the other to connect my dragon. While my dragon's upside down, I also want to use some masking tape to add on the popsicle sticks, which are going to be the holders that we use to hold our dragon puppet. If you do not want it to be a puppet, you could just skip this step and just have it as is, but it's kind of fun to move it like a puppet. And there you go. I did end up adding some more scales in green onto the center part of my dragon. You can see it here on my finished picture because I thought it would be a nice addition to add some green scales and tie it all together. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe below to get more of these videos. We'll see you next time.